All right, everybody come on around. Ron's got a few words for you.
Some words of inspiration.
Words of inspiration.
Gather up, y'all, boy. Gather up, as they say down in Charleston. Okay, perfect. So once again, I just want to tell you that we really appreciate you being here. This is really just having you all. We already, I think, have more people than we had last year, and so each year we continue to grow. Last year was our first lobby day. This is our second lobby day, and so we really appreciate you being here. You being here is already like the reason why we do what we do.
Successful.
Exactly. We've already made it successful, and we have plenty more things to talk about throughout the day. Just to give you a rundown, we have our camera going. We have our live stream for Cannabis Conversations, which happens every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Some of you already know that. And so that will be streaming live, and then we're about to go into our actual kind of press conference of the piece. So you'll hear the board members come up and speak. We also have Representative Dickman as well here with us today. So thank you so much, Representative, for being with us. He's going to speak to decriminalization bill, so that's going to be exciting. And so all we'll need from you all is to just be in attendance however you want to in this particular time and space. And that can be behind us by holding signs or whatever it may be. We do have a photographer here as well. give you that. Are y'all pumped? Come on. Yeah. Okay, great. So I'll have to kind of gather in a little bit.
Grab yourself some signs to hold up. We appreciate all that. And
I also come from the entertainment business once upon a time, so I know sometimes it feels like there's no one out there. It's always lights, camera, action, baby. Always lights, camera, action, okay? So all of these moments are very important. And like I was also saying before, we'll be able to use some of this to send to news stations afterwards and things of that nature. So y'all ready to put on a really good, informative show? It's not just a show, this is real life.
This is real life. Yeah.
Lobby Day.
All right. Press conference, Lobby Day for South Carolina NORML. Take one.
Alrighty. So good morning. My name is Kristen Mummert, and I am the Deputy Director of the South Carolina chapter for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. SC NORML prides itself as a nonprofit focused on providing a space for people to learn and to share. We are made up of people from all walks of life: farmers, business owners, researchers, accountants, veterans, medical professionals, people who live and work in the state of South Carolina and advocate for cannabis law reform. Standing here with me today are some of these supporters coming from every corner of our state, and our speakers today will include members of our board as well as a representative. We do want to take a moment to commend the groups that are working hard to pass medical cannabis legislation. We do hope that these bills become laws that incorporate the core attributes of a patient-centric cannabis program.
Yeah.
Our efforts today go beyond the patient focus and into a community one. Law reform comes in many flavors and is tailored to fit the needs of each state. While there are some who have hesitancy on the impacts of cannabis to our society, something that I think we can all agree on is the fact that our citizens deserve to be safe. This is the great thing about our country. We states have the right to craft laws in a way that serve our citizens. We are here today to talk about the needs for our state to reduce the harms that are currently imposed on cannabis consumers, highlight some of the ways our state is moving towards those changes, and to invite an open and candid discussion with our legislators about what South Carolina needs. Now I would like to introduce our director, Scott Weldon, to talk a little bit more about why we're here.
Thank you, Kristen. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Weldon, and I am the Executive Director of South Carolina NORML. Our agenda today will be that we will reaffirm our desire to achieve harm reduction through the decriminalization of simple cannabis possession, and to highlight some of the legislation that we support. One of those pieces of legislation, the States Reform Act, we are anticipating to be introduced into the U.S. Congress in the next few weeks. It is a bill to deschedule marijuana, remove it from the Controlled Substances Act completely. Also, we'll be discussing briefly Senate Bill 211, which is a state descheduling bill, descheduling at the state level. That's sponsored by Senator Mia McLeod. Also, we will be discussing today a little bit about House Bill 3561, which is a bill to decriminalize the simple possession of marijuana. We also have the sponsor of that bill, Representative Ivory Thigpen, here to introduce a little bit of information on that for us as well. NORML's position is whether you use cannabis for medication, meditation, relaxation, intoxication, or sacrament, we don't believe anybody should go to prison for simple cannabis possession. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up our Secretary, Vaughn Postema.
All right, let me hear it, y'all. Y'all already know why we're here today. The Marijuana Control Act, sponsored by Senator Mia McLeod, is an example of what descheduling and legalization can look like in South Carolina. Oftentimes, legalization is met with hesitancy, but legalization is an opportunity for us to conduct a custom fitting to the needs of South Carolinians. The Marijuana Control Act meets legalization with active regulation, which includes but is not limited to regulation of marijuana product packaging, age requirements for consumption, proximity of retail marijuana shops to places such as schools, churches, and parks, and even transparency in the licensing process. It is clear that legalization is not a green light to ignore responsibility of creating safe environments for South Carolina citizens.
Yeah.
In fact, legalization is a way for us to implement laws that can help to protect our communities and our children. At the core, this bill will help empower our citizens to make informed and safe decisions, which is the exact reason why we exist as an organization. Thank you.
That's right.
Up next, I would like to introduce Representative Ivory Thigpen.
Well, let me begin by saying thank you for the opportunity to speak, because again, I know this is an important issue, not just for those who are gathered here today, but really for across the state. I am Dr. Ivory Thigpen, representative of Richland County District 79 and chair of the South Carolina Legislative Black Caucus. I stand before you realizing that simple possession, particularly of small amounts, has caused the deterioration of many family units and structures. It has caused for, I believe, the not only penalizing but incarceration of many persons. And it's a tragedy when we really look at across the nation. There are other places where not only is the sale of and the use of cannabis something that is legal, but many are profiting from, while others in different parts of the country are being punished for. And so the bill that I introduced this year and pre-filed is 3561, and it is a bill that basically says to decriminalize possession of 28 grams or 1 ounce or less of marijuana, and that also to decrease penalty for possessions of other drugs. The challenge that we see with the enforcement of drug trafficking and drug use is that currently our law enforcement does not do an analysis that breaks out how much of the actual legal substance is being used. And because of that, they weigh the entire substance. In subcommittee, in criminal subcommittee, there's a bill, House 3503, that really dealt with the trafficking of fentanyl. And the challenge that we saw even when it came to full committee is that there are some unintended consequences when individuals who may simply be users, who may be addicted, who may really have a substance abuse problem or a health issue and really need health treatment may end up being criminalized and accused and even incarcerated as traffickers. And so when you look at that, and even if you look at cannabis and its use, again, whether someone uses it medicinally or recreationally, or whether or not maybe they had some that somebody had in something that they didn't even know was there, as people sometimes tend to use it in baked goods. The reality of it is our laws have to be fair, they have to be just, they have to take into consideration, I think, all people. So the fight that we have before us is one that is a just fight. I think the fight that we have before us is really for those who are the least among us. I think it is a fight that really cares and concerns for society as a whole and does not seek to overtly punish individuals who, at the end of the day, are not those who are even trafficking and beyond cannabis, in my humble opinion, even other substances. We have to provide protections and make sure those who really may need the help do not get abused and hurt by government. Again, I am Dr. Ivory Thigpen, representative of Richland County, chair of Black Caucus, and again, the pre-file is 3561, and we look for your overwhelming support because this is something that needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thigpen, for that. So that was a really valuable breakdown, and I'd just like to take a moment to explore this topic of decriminalization a little bit more and to reiterate some of the more poignant points. So just starting with the basics of what does it mean to decriminalize. So decriminalization, simply put, is reducing the penalty of having or using cannabis. Currently, our law states that a first offense charge of simple possession is 30 days incarcerated and a max fine of $200. And all subsequent offenses are met with up to a year incarcerated and up to a $2,000 fine. And it's known well that recidivism is very high. Decrim is really important because nearly 76% of all drug arrests are because of simple possession. And 50% of all drug arrests made in South Carolina in 2021 were cannabis related. That's 25,118 people who now have a drug charge on their record. And this is coming from SLED's Crime in the South report, Crime in South Carolina report. Our prisons and jails are underfunded and overpopulated as it is, and passing this bill would allocate resources to our officers for preventing violent crime, not for punishing citizens from consuming cannabis.
That's right.
The South Carolina Department of Corrections estimates that it costs just about $23,000 per year to house an inmate. And with that understanding, and also understanding the fact that recidivism is high with this sort of thing, the cost of this continuing is astronomical. Apart from the economic disadvantages of advantages of decriminalization, it's also harm reduction. So our community suffers when 25,000 people are charged with a misdemeanor for cannabis each year. These individuals don't just lose because they pay the fine and they have jail time. They keep paying the price even afterwards. Take a moment to think about the kinds of stereotypes that come to your head when you hear of a drug charge. Now imagine that you're an employer presented with this in a hiring process. People we have talked to have lost years of their life because they weren't able to get the career they went to school for after being caught with cannabis, and career is not the only thing that's affected. According to the Office of Justice Programs, consequences after release can include losing your license, losing public assistance and housing, and not to mention the mental health burdens that come with being involved in that criminal justice system.
Oh, yeah.
Though it may seem that the answer to cannabis consumption could be as simple as to just say no, the reality is that people have been using cannabis for centuries, and living in the land of freedom of choice, that's not going to stop anytime soon. We are here today to recognize that cannabis consumers in our great state are not simply Cheech and Chongers. They are members of our society, and their lives should not be ruined for choosing to consume cannabis. Now I'm just going to introduce Vaughn for closing statements.
Decriminalize, that's right. Decriminalize. Deschedule. Legalization. We can save lives through this means. South Carolina citizens should stop being treated like criminals for a plant. We know this, we feel this. That's why everyone behind us are here and the people who are not able to be here. So my call to action is that South Carolinians who support the legalization, who support decriminalization, it is time for us to take action and take the steps appropriate. There comes a time in life where action must supersede intention. Intentions are good, but action is just a little bit better.
Action!
And that's what you can expect from South Carolina NORML in 2023. We appreciate your time, all the effort and the energy, and we look forward to seeing our legislators today to speak more about the issues at hand. Thank you and have a great day.
Everybody real quick, come up here to this camera. Come on up. Come on out, folks, and join us. Support medical marijuana.